In the heart of fair Verona, where ancient walls still whisper tales of love and tragedy, there existed two noble houses whose bitter rivalry would shape one of history's most profound love stories. The Montagues and Capulets, proud families of equal dignity, carried a feud so deep that even their servants fought in the streets. But from this ancient grudge would emerge a love so pure that it would ultimately break the cycle of hatred, though at an unimaginable cost. Our story begins with young Romeo Montague, a romantic soul who, despite his family's warnings, decides to crash a grand feast at the Capulet mansion. Masked and accompanied by his friends Mercutio and Benvolio, Romeo enters enemy territory, not seeking conflict, but rather trying to forget his unrequited love for another. Little did he know that fate had different plans for him that evening. It's fascinating how a single moment can alter the course of countless lives. As Romeo wandered through the elaborate halls of the Capulet mansion, his eyes fell upon Juliet, the young daughter of Lord Capulet. Their connection was instant, electric, transcendent. In that moment, all his previous notions of love melted away. This wasn't the superficial infatuation he had felt before. This was something deeper, more profound. The masquerade ball scene perfectly captures the essence of their love. Forbidden, dangerous, yet impossible to resist. Romeo and Juliet's first conversation is a sonnet, a perfect poem shared between two strangers who somehow complete each other's verses. Their words intertwine like dancers, creating a private world in the midst of a crowded room. But their bubble of bliss is short-lived when Romeo discovers that Juliet is a Capulet, and she learns he is a Montague. What follows is perhaps one of literature's most famous scenes, the balcony scene. Unable to stay away, Romeo scales the walls of the Capulet garden, drawn to Juliet's balcony like a moth to flame. Here, under the cover of night, Juliet speaks her heart, unaware that Romeo listens below. "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?" she asks, not questioning his location, but lamenting his name, wishing he could be called anything else but Montague. Their love, pure and untainted by their family's hatred, moves quickly. With the help of Friar Lawrence, a well-meaning Franciscan friar who sees in their union a chance to end the feud, they marry in secret. The friar's hope is noble, that their love might heal the rift between their houses, but fate, or perhaps the reckless nature of youth, had other plans. The turning point comes when Romeo's friend, Mercutio, a kinsman to the Prince of Verona, encounters Juliet's fiery cousin Tybalt. Mercutio, known for his quick wit and quicker sword, engages in what begins as playful banter but escalates into a deadly duel. Romeo, now Tybalt's kinsman by marriage, tries to stop the fight. His intervention proves fatal. Tybalt, under Romeo's arm, strikes Mercutio with a fatal blow. Mercutio's death marks the moment where love's dream begins to unravel into nightmare. His famous last words, "A plague on both your houses," become prophetic. Romeo, consumed by rage and grief, kills Tybalt in retaliation. This act sets in motion a chain of events that will lead to the lovers' ultimate tragedy. The Prince of Verona, seeking to maintain order, banishes Romeo from the city on pain of death. Meanwhile, unaware of these events, Lord Capulet decides to proceed with his plans to marry Juliet to Count Paris, a noble kinsman of the prince. When Juliet refuses, her father threatens to disown her. Desperate and alone, Juliet turns to Friar Lawrence, who devises an elaborate plan. He gives her a potion that will make her appear dead for 42 hours. During this time, he will send word to Romeo, who can return to Verona in secret, retrieve her from the family tomb, and take her away to start a new life. The plan goes horribly wrong. The letter explaining the scheme to Romeo never reaches him. Instead, he receives news that Juliet is dead. Devastated and determined to join her in death, Romeo purchases a powerful poison from an apothecary and returns to Verona, defying his banishment. The final scene in the Capulet tomb is heart-wrenching. Romeo finds what he believes to be Juliet's lifeless body. He drinks the poison and dies by her side, moments before she awakens. Finding Romeo dead, Juliet takes his dagger and joins him in death, unable to imagine a life without him. The tragedy brings both families to their senses. Standing over the bodies of their children, the Montagues and Capulets finally see the destructive nature of their hatred. They make peace, but the price is devastating. The loss of their children, whose love proved stronger than their parents' hate. This story has endured for centuries because it speaks to universal truths about love, hate, and the consequences of both. The tragedy of Romeo and Juliet isn't just that they died young, but that their deaths were preventable. Their story serves as a warning about the destructive nature of prejudice and hatred, and how these forces can destroy even the purest love. The legacy of Romeo and Juliet lives on not just as a cautionary tale, but as a testament to love's power to transcend hatred, even if that transcendence comes at the ultimate price. Their story reminds us that love, in its purest form, knows no boundaries, not of family, not of society, not even of life and death. In death, they achieved what they couldn't in life. They brought peace to Verona and united their families, though at a cost too dear to bear. As we reflect on this timeless tale, we might wonder, what would have happened if the families had set aside their differences sooner? If they had chosen love over hate, could Romeo and Juliet have lived to see their love flourish? These questions haunt us still, making their story as relevant today as it was when first told. For in every generation, there are still Montagues and Capulets, still feuds that seem impossible to resolve, and still young lovers caught in the crossfire of ancient hatreds.